The Colt M45-A1, let's check it out. The U.S. military standard sidearm was the Colt 1911 from 1911 up until 1985, which it was replaced by the Beretta M9. But the U.S. Marine Corps still continued to use the Colt 1911s. One of the big reasons is because 45 in full metal jacket is still a fairly good self-defense round compared to full metal jacket 9mm, which is not so much. And the Marine Corps really wanted to retain that 45. For years, though, they continued to use them, and those old 45s just started to wear out. Force Recon elements of the U.S. Marine Corps and MARSOC continued to use the 1911s, but they were highly modified. They would put a lot of different accessories on here, really just to make them more effective in combat. But again, these parts were wearing out as well. So they started looking for a replacement for their 1911s. They talked to Kimber, Springfield Armory, but they settled on the Colt in 2012. And this was for the M45-A1. Now, the original Colt M45-A1s were a desert Cerakote color. This was a stainless steel frame and slide, but quickly some of the Cerakote finishes were not holding up, and so they went to what they call the Deco Bond finish that held up very well. Then MARSOC started going to the Glock 19. The Colt continues to offer the M45-A1 to civilians, whether it's in the desert color or there's a number of different colors, mix or match, that they do offer the M45-A1. Now, I got the M45-A1 from GunProDeals, and I really appreciate those guys sending it for the test and evaluation. Guys, it's funny to me that we live in the golden age of firearms, and there are so many different choices out on the market. And a lot of people will criticize the 1911 as more of an antiquated firearm. But it's as popular as it's ever been. And that's not just with the so-called FUDs that a lot of people like to throw that term around. The 1911 is definitely a superb firearm and has proven itself in a number of world wars and since then. And even today, it's still being used in combat all over the world. First thing we're going to do is make sure the gun is unloaded, drop our 8-round magazine. It is stainless steel, and we're going to check, make sure the gun is unloaded. Now, one of the things I'm going to mention is that when you bring back your slide, this is not your typical 1911 slide. It is definitely a little more aggressive, a little more force to pull that back. And the reason for that is the dual recoil springs that are inside this firearm, based on their 10mm version, and it just helps to keep the gun more stable as far as second and third follow-up shots. Now, a big plus for the M45-A1 is that these are produced in the custom shop at Colt. And so these are more finely tuned, they're hand-fitted, and so it just gives you an added bonus over a lot of the standard Colt 1911s. You do get 2 8-round magazines with the handgun, and you'll notice that they do extend out just a little bit past the grip, but this will allow for, mag wells if you want to put one on here. But with that being said, it is somewhat beveled, and so it's going to give you a little more ease in throwing in that magazine. And it's a straight-walled magazine, and of course, these take any of your Colt 1911 mags. Also, you'll notice that it does retain a lanyard loop, does have the flat mainspring housing, which was the original, which I prefer, actually, the flat mainspring housing, but it's definitely according to my hand size. The gun itself, and this particular one, is in a Cerakote finish. It has the armor black slide and what they call the Macmillan gray frame. I love the two-tone color on this, and there are a number of different colors that they do offer. The original was in a desert tan, And it did have what they call the Deco Bond finish, which it replaced the Cerakote because there was a lot of wear, and that was per the U.S. Marine Corps. Now there was some wear showing right here from the Cerakote, just a little scuff, and I just wanted to show you. I took some brake free and I just wiped this down, and you can see the wear has just disappeared. So these finishes are very durable, and really with a pistol like this, you want to keep it looking really nice. You do have your front slide serrations, and you do have an accessory rail, and this is a really nice, very thick accessory rail. So you know, if you're going to buy a holster for this, you need to make sure that it fits this accessory rail. And some of the other models of 1911, the accessory rail is a little thinner. It is the M1913, and there are 4 slots. You have a really high-ride beaver tail, and with this, what they call the memory notch, but also it helps to get a positive lockdown on your grip safety. Now it does have the commander hammer, which means that it's skeletonized and it fits into the beaver tail really nice. Keeps from slide bite. And here you can see you can thumb cock it, bring it back, and then real easy to engage your extended safeties, which are also ambidextrous. And so it's a really nice feel to it. A lot of the original safeties are very minimal and sometimes a little more difficult, but this gives you a little added bonus. You have your slide stop here, which has serrations on the top. Also, we have a Novak sights, and these are official Novak sights. They're even marked, but it's tritium Trigicon inserts. So these are night sights, and so they show up very well at the range, and it ends up being a 3-dot sight, but yet at night you're going to have that tritium. The trigger is a little more extended. It adds to the safety of the pistol in case it's dropped, but it does have the Series 80 firing pin block. And so it's a very safe pistol, and traditionally these are carried cocked and locked. And so you can put that in your holster, you need it, bring it down, and you can fire. One of the things about this, it is a single action pistol. So there's no actuation of the hammer with it in the down position. And so when you rack your slide, it brings the hammer in the rear position, and then you can engage your safety, or of course you fire it and then subsequent shots bring the hammer to the rear position. This is just the traditional way that the 1911 has been carried for years. The VZ G10 grips are excellent. They're not super thin. They do give you a little bit more gripping surface, and guys, really, if you wanted, you could get thinner grips if you wanted to. The front checkering is 25 lines per inch, and this is really tight. It's very grippy. I mean, you can tell that you've got this in your hand, and it keeps it from sliding and riding. I know on my Series 70, it's just a smooth front and just a very minimal beaver tail. This gives you really a lot of confidence while gripping this handgun. Of course, it has Colt with the 3 stars, M45-A1. Here on the other side, Colt government model. It does have U.S. engraved on the frame. If this was an actual issued pistol by the U.S. military, it would say U.S. property. And you have a QR code right here. And here at the end of the serial number, EGA for Eagle Global Anchor. The barrel is 5 inches in length, and it is a national match barrel, which is an upgrade on these pistols and something that, you know, the U.S. Marine Corps really wanted. They wanted these to be very accurate. Now here we have an old Colt 70 series government model. You can see that it definitely does not have the accessory rail on the front. It doesn't have the front cocking serrations. Beaver tail is minimal. Has the hammer, not the commander style skeletonized hammer. Of course, the grips are different as well. So there's a lot of different upgrades to the M45, and you know, this one just has that traditional soul to it. I mean, I love this pistol. I've had this handgun for over 30 years, and I love it. But this really kind of brings it up, you know, more to the 21st century. Also, you see that flat front strap. Now, this has one of the Packmeyer, and it's somewhat of an arched mainspring housing, not quite as much as some of the originals. But personally, I like the flat. M45A1, 2 pounds, 10 ounces. Colt 1911 government model, 2 pounds, 6 ounces. Now we're going to check the trigger pull action. The magazine's out and the gun is unloaded. 1911s are known for really excellent triggers, just a little touch of take up, and then a really crisp break. Reset right there. We're gonna check our trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. I have to depress the grip safety. 4 pounds, 6.2 ounces. Guys, it says 5 pounds for the trigger pull. My Lyman trigger gauge, I've had this for years, and it seems that maybe my battery's low because I'm getting some really erratic readings. But again, it's about the 4.5 to 5 pound range. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the 45 ACP. We're using a 230 grain full metal jacket, and this is all made right here in the USA. Of course, one of the big things you're going to notice right up front when you take it to the range is the heft. I mean, it's fairly heavy. Of course, it's an all steel frame, steel slide. And if you're used to shooting the Striker Fire polymer frame pistols, this is definitely a handful. But the great thing is it really mitigates the recoil just from the size. But then with the dual recoil springs, that makes it even flatter shooting. And so it's just got a really nice, soft feel to it for 45. What do you think? Not bad, was it?
No, it actually felt a lot like the 9mm.
It's a little softer, actually. It's more like a push than a punch.
Yeah, I agree.
With the grips, the VZ grips, makes it nice. Feel like you've got a good control of the pistol. But then with the checkering on front, and then of course the mainspring housing, it just fits in your hand very well. Gives you a good tight fit. And that thin 1911 frame, it's very pointable, very shootable, like it's always been. Now, as far as disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, check to make sure again the gun is unloaded. We're going to press in the mainspring retainer plug, and then we're just going to bring our barrel bushing around to the 9 o'clock position and then slowly release. Now we're going to take our barrel bushing and we're going to go the other direction. And then we can pull it right out. And it is a solid barrel bushing. Here we're going to bring back our slide right here to this notch, and we're going to push through our takedown pin or our slide stop. And then just go ahead and bring the whole slide assembly off. Here we have our dual recoil spring and guide rod. Here you can see they're just two intertwined springs. Then of course you have your standard guide rod. Take your barrel link, push it down, and move the barrel out of the front of the slide. Again, this is a national match barrel. You can see where we've been using this and shooting quite a few rounds through it. And guys, that's all you need to do to field strip. Now, it is definitely a little different than a lot of your designs, but this design is well over 100 years old now. And so it's a little bit archaic, but it's really simple to do. Now here we can see that it is an 80 series because it does have the firing pin block. So in case you drop the pistol, this is going to block the firing pin from firing a round. Of course, all the other is definitely simple 1911 design. Now for reassembly, we're going to take our barrel through the front of the slide, bring back our link, barrel link, take our guide rod, get it into place. You want to make sure that barrel link stays in the down position when you return it to the slide or the frame. Now through that barrel link, you're going to take your slide stop, bring the slide notch right here to be able to accept your slide stop. Now be very careful not to scratch this area right here. They call it the idiot scratch. I've done it. I'll just have to admit it. Put your recoil spring plug over your springs. Bring your barrel bushing this position right here, and then just go ahead and turn it again to that 9 o'clock position. There we go. Then depress your recoil spring plug and bring your barrel bushing back around. Snaps like that, right into place. And we're back in business. This particular model came with the blue box. There are some of the models that are offered with a Pelican case, which is really nice. But this is still a nice case in itself. You get your pistol, you get an extra magazine. Of course, you get your lock, chamber flag. We do get from the factory a 5-shot group. We're going to go ahead and open this up. Here you can see it's a really good tight group. These are made in the custom shop of Colt. So it's a really well-made piece. I mean, the finishing on this handgun is just excellent. And here at the top, you do get your owner's manual and all your paperwork. Now, because the M45-A1 is actually considered a custom shop CQB 1911, they run $2,199 on the Colt website. So they're definitely very pricey. When it comes to GunProDeals, these are $1,953. It's a fairly expensive firearm. Definitely something more toward, those who want to put back a really nice 1911. If you're wanting just a standard 1911, you can get the regular government model Colt for $714 on the GunProDeals website. Pros and cons of the pistol: it's definitely weighty, very full-size handgun. With the steel frame and the steel slide, again, guys, it's just a lot of heft. And then, of course, it's that single action, which is old school, but it's still very effective even today. And the 1911 is just as popular as it's ever been. Some of the really good things about this pistol are the accessory rail, which gives you, your ability to put on lights and lasers and different accessories, on the front of your handgun, which the old 1911 didn't have. The Novak sights are really nice. The front cocking serrations are definitely a plus. And the grip, whether it's the texturing or the VZ grips, it's really nice. And so to me, this is a great upgrade for your 1911. So overall, the M45-A1 is just an awesome handgun, in my opinion. If you don't like 1911s, maybe not so much. But guys, if you've ever wanted a nice 1911, this is a great one to choose. And guys, I really appreciate Nate at GunProDeals for sending the M45-A1. It's great to be able to get different firearms to bring to you guys, and really hope that you support them at GunProDeals. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. But Colt still produces the M14A1, and there are a lot of others. This is a... What?
Can see the camera so easily.
Okay. Those 8 rounds go quick.
You want the fake news, brother? I'll give you the real news.